Howdy champs, my name is Mohit and people, today I'm going to show you how to use background images, multiple background images in such a way that the compatibility with any IE version is a reality. I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. Not only am I going to use the CSS3 property background, which allows us to include multiple background images, which was not possible with version 2. I'm going to use conditional comments so that we can create an IE only style sheet, and hence making the output appear the same way in IE and older versions, just the way it appears in most modern contemporary browsers. Let me first of all start off with a browser preview. This is my local site folder, people. This is the HTML document. This is the style sheet only for IE. This is the style sheet, again linked to this mbi.html file. Is for non-IE browsers, and we have an images folder and we have 4 images inside. Okay, so let's take up a browser preview to see how things actually appear in Google Chrome first. So that's a non-IE browser. Okay, actually this is 4 images combined together. This number 5 is one single image, this is another image, and then the background that you see is it's actually 3 images. So the texture, which is actually acting like the thick border, is one image, number 5 is the second, number 2 is the third. Basically it's a group of 3 images. If I have a look inside IE, it's gonna appear the same way, alright, except that out here we have used a trick. It's one single image. I created an image where actually you kind of stitched all these 3 images together, right? So here we have as a background used one single image, but for the user, he wouldn't know that whether I've used CSS3 and hence used multiple background images, or I've used CSS2 for IE and hence used one single background image, which is kind of merged with each other, right? The 3 images merge into one image, right? People, even if I go down to the older versions of IE, let me press F12 and let's take up a preview in IE8. No difference. IE7, no difference at all, right? So let's see how this was made possible, how sometimes it reaches out for the no IE CSS file, sometimes it reaches out. This file reaches out for the IE CSS file. Alright, sometimes it fetches 1, 2 and 3 images in CSS3 and attaches them together, and sometimes only for IE it just reaches out for this one single image. So how was this made possible? So you'll learn how to use the conditional comments and hence work with IE only style sheets, and you'll also work with multiple background images. Okay, so this mbi.html file is tied to the no ie.css file. What I'm going to do is, let me bring up the local site folder. I'm going to delete all the 3 files. I'm going to preserve the images folder, and I'm going to start working from scratch. Cool. Let me hit the create new HTML button. I'm going to delete all the code that we have out here. I'm going to use Zen Coding Code Assist plugin, people, to code out really fast. I'm going to say HTML:5, control plus comma to expand the code. I'm going to give it a title and save the document, MBI for multiple background images. Let me save the code up. Let's call it MBI.html. Right, save it up. Cool. Once inside the body of the document, I'm going to use encoding again to code out real fast. So div hash MBI. Basically, I would want one single div to be inside the body of the document, which should have an ID of MBI, control plus comma to expand it. Okay, so that's the only inclusion I would want inside the opening and the closing body tags of my document. Okay, very cool. Now let me include two style sheets, or work on two style sheets, one for non-IE browsers and the other one for IE browsers. Let's see how that can be done. I'm going to say CC colon no IE. So first I'm going to create a style sheet for non-IE browsers. I'm going to expand it using Zen coding, control plus comma. Okay, so whatever goes inside line number 6 and line number 8 is going to be the style sheet for non-IE browsers. And how do you write that? Using the link tag. So link colon CSS, control plus comma to expand it, and this is where I'm going to say no IE dot CSS. So this style sheet in line number 7 is going to target non-IE browsers, Chrome, Opera, Safari, etc. And after which I'm going to say CC colon IE. So I'm going to target IE only browsers version 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm going to expand it. Right, I'm going to copy this bit of code. I'm going to make sure that it's pushed inside. IE browsers are going to ignore this line completely, people. Non-IE browsers won't be able to read it, and I'm going to just change the no IE to IE. So in short, people, I need to work with two external style sheets tied to this mbi.html file. Let me just save it up, and let me start creating the no IE and IE only style sheets. Right, so this is the way you'll differentiate between the IE CSS and non-IE browsers CSS. Okay, so new CSS file, save it up, call it no IE dot CSS. Let's start coding. I'm going to code for the MBI, which is the ID for the div, the only div that we have inside the body of the document. And I'm going to say width of, now people, I already know the width and the height that I would want to have for my document. See, it's gonna match the dimensions of this texture. This is gonna be one of the background images, 620 to 60, right? So it's gonna be 620 px, and height is gonna be 260 px. Very cool. Next, people, I'm gonna use the background shorthand property. Okay, and then I'm going to fetch the first image that I would want to use. I'll go inside the images folder. Now inside the images folder, I would want to have this image, and this image going as three. I'm going to group these three images as the multiple backgrounds. So I'm going to fetch this image first. Okay, and I'm going to say I would want it to be at 10 px away on the x-axis and 10 px displaced or offset from the y-axis. Okay, at the same time, I wouldn't want this image to repeat itself. So background repeat property should be set to no repeat. This is as far as the first image goes, people. As far as the second image goes, again I'm gonna go to URL. I'm gonna fetch the second image, which is this one. Okay, I'm going to make sure that it's displaced by 310 px pixels from the left along the x-axis, and along the y-axis displaced only 10 px along the y-axis. Okay, again I wouldn't want it to repeat itself, so background repeat property should be set to no repeat. Okay, that's 2. Now let's go in for the third image. That's gonna be right at the back, which is the bottommost layer. See, the image that you use in the end is gonna be right at the back. The image that you use first, which is this 5.jpg, is gonna be right at the top. So the Z index, if I were to, just talk in terms of Z index, this is at the top, this is in the middle, and this is the last one, goes right at the back. So URL, and this time I'm going to fetch the texture.jpg again. Now this one I'm going to keep it at top left. I'm not keeping, I'm not talking in terms of pixels this time, but the background position property can be defined in terms of top left too. Okay, and again the background image should not be repeated. So background repeat should be set to no repeat. Again people, I'm using background shorthand property. I could have expanded it, and I used it in a different way, but this is a concise way of writing the code. Okay, very cool. So yep, so this should actually do. Let's see that in action to be sure that it actually works for us in non-IE browsers. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to take up a preview in Chrome. Exactly people, you see these three images have been grouped. This one was the first image, this was the second image, and the third image, which is acting like a border now, a thick border, which is actually a texture. Since it was used right at the end, the Z index for that image, or the depth for that image, is the bottommost, and hence it goes back. Right. So we have accomplished this in non-IE browsers. Let's just for fun see what will happen if I check it in IE. Nothing, because we still have to create the IE dot CSS file. So I'm going to go out here. I'm going to say save as and say IE dot CSS. Okay, and then I just need to make very little modification people. I'm going to go to images. I'm going to keep the width and the height just the same. No changes required there at all. But for the image, I'm going to include IE.png image, which is those three images combined. Okay, and let me get rid of all this. I don't need all this at all. And as far as the position is concerned, it's going to be top left and no repeat. Right, I don't need the comma out here because we are using one single image people. Let me show you that image that we have included out here. It's this one. It's 620 by 260. It's gonna flush the entire division. Right, it's a PNG image and is the only image that we're gonna use. Right, so using the background shorten property, I'm pointing to the only image, which is actually a group of three images, and placing it at top left and making sure that it doesn't repeat itself. So this should suffice for the IE browsers only, any version of IE people. Let me get back to mbi.html file. Let's take up a preview in IE 9, 8 and 7. So I'm going to press F12 so I can backtrack into 8 and into 7, and the multiple background images show equally well, easily out there, right? Right. So people, you see, using conditional comments, how I made a CSS3 property appear in all versions of IE just the way I actually wanted it to be. Now, some of you may actually argue, oh, this all sounds good, but why don't we actually include just one style sheet, which is this one, for all the browsers? Why should we actually use the CSS3 property at all when you need to group them up all together? You need to stitch them up all together for IE. Why not use just that, CSS file for all the browsers? Yes, your argument is perfectly all right, but people, there are times when you would want to repeat an image multiple times along the X or the Y axis. If you were to do it, the normal way, it can sometimes be very, very time consuming. But if you were to do it just with the code, as in CSS3, it can be really very snappy, right? So at the same time, I'm not so sure if it's a very practical example, but surely it teaches you how to work with the multiple background images in IE and non-IE browsers. And nevertheless, it anyways teaches you how to work with conditional comments in IE only style sheet, doesn't it? So people, I hope you like this tutorial, and I'll also hope that you'll comment, you'll thumb it up in case you liked it, and I also hope that you'll keep coming back for more and more tutorials from me, won't you? You have a good day. Bye-bye. Peace.